Okay, welcome. So, as everybody gets settled and gets in, we want to go ahead and get started. Thank you, everyone, for coming to the 8th Annual International Overdose Awareness Day Remembrance event. We are sad that we have to be here, but glad that we're able to all come together, support each other, and remember our loved ones that have all been lost to substance-related causes. Couple of announcements as we get started. If you've seen the agenda for the day, you'll notice, and you've been here past years, you'll notice that we've changed some things this year. And I really want to go over kind of how a couple of things are going to work today. So we're going to have some presenters. Then we'll have, this year differently than in past years, we'll have reading of names throughout the day. The list has gotten pretty long, and so we've decided to split the names up. They will be read alphabetically, starting with the first and second reader. And then right after the reading of names, we're not even going to make an announcement. We're just going to go into a 15-minute break, okay? Then we'll go in through some more presentations, another break throughout the day. And then we'll be talking about the candlelight vigil later on tonight. One thing that we are doing a little bit differently this year, I don't see Lindsay. So we have or will have a box set up in the back with slips of paper, and we'd like for people to go back and take some time and write messages of hope, why you feel like you have hope, or messages to your loved one. And we'll be pulling those messages. You don't have to put your name unless you want to. We'll be pulling messages from that box throughout the evening, throughout the day, and reading some of them as we go. And then tonight, the candlelight vigil will be a little bit different. There are T-shirts in the back. If you were not able to order one, past year shirts are also available if you'd like to get those. All donations for shirts go toward the IOAD Treatment and Recovery Assistance Fund. We started this fund officially in 2019. Then with COVID, we skipped a year, and then we changed it up in 2021. And the funds are used to help individuals that are looking to get into a treatment or recovery program that maybe need help with transportation, or maybe they need a couple of weeks worth of rent in an Oxford house. Okay, that's what these funds are for. We work directly with the programs and make all payments from that fund to the program. If you or someone you know is interested in learning more about that fund, you can contact me. Frida can help, and we're happy to get you the application for that. This October, as a part of that fund, we will also be offering 5 scholarships. I think we've got 4 left. One's already spoken for, but we'll have 5 scholarships total for CCAR training. If you're not familiar with that, it's recovery coach, to become a certified recovery coach. It's a week-long, pretty much 8-hour-a-day training. It will be virtual. And we do have kind of some caveats that we're going to ask if you're awarded one of those awards. But if you want to apply for that training, if you're interested in it, let us know, and we can get you the application. All right, so to start out, I'd like to invite Pastor John Eklund up to open us with a prayer.
Thanks, Randy. Thank you. My name is John, and I'm celebrating about 26 years of sobriety from alcohol, and I'm still struggling. Codependency and anger, so pray for me, Danette, dear Lord. We had Joko Angels at our ministry last night, mom sharing about her loss, but how she's found purpose in her pain. And I don't think there's anything more courageous than when people show up and look to find purpose in their greatest loss. And so I want to pray over you, but I also want to believe that there is hope, that there is hope. That's why you're here. And so we don't just remember, but we believe in faith that they did not die in vain. Amen. Would you pray with me? Father, thank you. Thank you that we do not mourn as those who have no hope. Lord, first I just want to lift up those who are here right now within the sound of my voice, who have suffered loss beyond anything I can imagine. And God, I pray, as you are Emmanuel, which means God with us, that you would be right now near to the brokenhearted. You'd be close. You'd be as close as their next breath. They would feel your comfort right now. We just pray for that comfort and that peace in Jesus' name. We pray for the still sick and suffering who are out there. And Lord, we're just praying you bring them home. Bring them home. And Lord, we just pray for those who are out working, the peer support specialists, those who are therapists, the recovery groups, all those who are represented here, God. You'd strengthen them. Sometimes it just feels like it's too much. But I just pray today they would feel a sense of hope in the future, that they're making a difference. And I'm just so grateful for this event, those who put this together. I pray that this would be a time of not just remembrance, not just mourning, but there would be some time of celebration for what you are doing. God, we believe that you're going to turn this thing around. We just believe that, and we're grateful to you, and we lift this whole afternoon up to you in the name of Jesus Christ. We pray these things. And everybody said, amen.
Thank you, John. So good to be here. So glad all of you are here. I'd like to introduce Amy Brucia from Healing Transitions. She is the detox coordinator there at the women's campus, as well as she is the recovery response team lead. And we are really honored she's here with us today. And so, Amy, if you'd come up, thank you.
Hey guys. Oh gosh. I'm already nervous. All right, so as Frida said, thank you, Frida. My name is Amy Brucia. I am the coordinator at the Women's Detox at Healing Transitions, and I am also the staff lead of our Women's Response Team. That is a team that I started in the late part of 2020 as our way of meeting the opioid epidemic head to head. We were seeing an influx of overdoses on property, and so our intention was to make everybody, all staff, as well as participants, get them trained in overdose reversal methods and how to recognize overdose so that we could save lives. If you are on the Women's Response Team and you are here today, raise your hand. So those ladies are the real deal. Be sure to give them a high five when you see them. We also now have established the Men's Response Team. Richard, raise your hand. He has taken on the Men's Response Team, so we're hoping to get that up and running and mirror very closely to what we do at the women's campus. So today we're going to go over the basics of naloxone, and then we're going to have two of our ladies from the Women's Response Team come up and do a presentation. I know everyone that is here today has been affected by overdose in some way or fashion, and so I think that one of the most powerful tools that we have in the kit to fight against this is knowledge, and that's especially knowledge of naloxone. So it is a life-saving medication that can reverse the effects of opioid overdose, and it's crucial that we all understand how it works and when to use it. Before we get into the demonstration, I'm going to go over the basics of naloxone using the W's. So what is naloxone? Naloxone is a medication that is designed to rapidly reverse an opioid overdose, and it goes to the receptors in the brain to block the effects of opioids, and it greatly reduces the opportunity for fatality. There are two types of naloxone available. Of course, I left them on the table over there. Does someone want to grab them for me? I meant to bring them up here. So there are two main types of naloxone available. We have the intramuscular and the nasal. The demonstration that we're going to do today is the nasal naloxone. The purpose for that, thank you so much, Jillian. We have found, especially in our experience at the women's campus, when reversing an overdose and it's a crisis and chaotic situation, The nasal naloxone is just much easier to use, but neither one of them are more effective or better than the other. These are just much easier to train our ladies on. All right, who do I use naloxone on and when do I use it? So the number one sign of an opioid overdose is a lack of responsiveness, and that means that the person is unable to be roused when trying to be woken up. Other signs include blue lips and blue fingernails. That indicates a lack of oxygen to the brain. If the person's eyes are open, or if you're able to open their eyes, their pupils are going to be pinpoint. If you are able to get a pulse, then the heart rate is going to be slow. And if the person is still breathing, their breath is going to be labored. And you might hear what's commonly referred to as the death rattle, which is a gasping sound. And it's the body's last attempt at trying to get air into the lungs. Where do you administer naloxone? Depending on which you have, the intermuscular is going to go either in the thigh or the upper arm. Those are the two easiest spots. You can do it through the person's clothing. And then the nasal naloxone is in the nostrils. Ideally, we alternate the nostrils when we are doing the overdose reversal. And then, of course, why am I using naloxone? And that is to save lives. All right, Jillian and JB. All right, so they are going to demonstrate as I walk them through. All right, so Jillian, are you going to get... Well, so it's important to note. So when I do the training at the women's, I always talk about the ideal overdose. The ideal overdose, I've never seen it myself. That means that you walk up, the person is perfectly laid out on the floor, ready for CPR. Everything's calm, cool, and collected. You have Narcan on your person, and everything is just lined up for success. Very rarely is that the case. I have never seen it myself. So JB walks over and she finds Jillian unresponsive. So the first thing that JB is going to do is attempt to get Jillian up. So she's going to firmly place her hands on her shoulders and she's going to yell her name. Jillian! Jillian! And Jillian is not responding. So JB is going to do what is called a sternum rub, which is where you take your knuckles and in the middle of your breastbone and you push hard with your knuckles. I always encourage people to do this to themselves. It's uncomfortable when you do it to yourself. So what it's meant to do is stimulate the person. It causes discomfort and pain, and if they're going to react, they're going to likely react to a sternum rub. So JB has done the sternum rub, and Jillian is still not waking up. So next thing JB is going to do is yell for somebody to help because she is by herself. Help, help. And she's going to ask them to call 911. Perfect. Now, if JB had somebody with her, JB would stay with Jillian and the other person would call 911. If there were people around, JB would scream for somebody to call 911. If JB was by herself, like she is going to administer the first naloxone and then call 911. Alrighty, so she has called for help. She has done the first naloxone. So from that point forward, JB is going to repeat the same 3 steps over and over until Jillian either responds or EMS comes, and that is naloxone, 30 chest compressions, 2 breaths, naloxone, 30 chest compressions, 2 breaths. If she were to find Jillian, as we often, when we have overdoses on property, like I said, rarely do we find the ladies laid out. So we have found ladies that have been sitting in a chair and they're slumped over and they're not in a position where you can actually administer CPR. In the event that that happens and JB was sitting up and slumped over, JB is going to lean her head back, open the airways, she's going to do the naloxone, and then she's going to do the rescue breathing. But if she's not in a position now, if somebody gets there to help JB and they can safely get Jillian on the ground, then they're going to move forward with doing CPR in between the naloxone. Yeah, and then EMS arrives. It is always recommended once EMS gets there that the person is seen by a physician. You guys can stay up here. Thank you so much. So once EMS arrives, there you go. So once EMS arrives, we require it at our facility. It is highly recommended that if somebody has overdosed, even if you have reversed the overdose, that they are seen by a physician. There is something called a reoccurring overdose, which is where the naloxone wears off and the effects of the opioids take over again, and the person has the possibility of overdosing again. And so if they go with EMS, they go to the ER where they can be monitored and watched over. And then I forgot to go over, once JB reverses Jillian and she comes to, something that we stress always is the safety for yourself as well. When somebody overdoses, they're unconscious. When they come to, there is a variety of ways that they can react. We have seen ladies that just wake up and kind of look around like, where am I? But more often we see ladies that wake up and they're in shock. And so immediately they're going to go into withdrawal. So they're going to be in discomfort. They're going to be in pain. They come to, they don't know what's going on. They don't know who you are. They don't know what happened. So we've seen situations where they start swinging or start grabbing people around them. So we always recommend that you keep yourself at a safe distance. Let them know help is on the way. You're okay. Everything is okay. Help is on the way. And then just make sure that you're also keeping yourself safe. And so, yeah, I'm going to open it up for any questions. Yes, ma'am. Okay, so how many times do you administer naloxone? So if you guys look on this box or you look on the box of Narcan, it walks you through steps, right? And so what the steps say is that you administer naloxone. Again, the ideal is that you're alternating nostrils, so you do it on the right nostril, you wait 1 to 2 minutes, you do it in the left, you wait 1 to 2 minutes, you do it in the right. Again, that's what I refer to as the ideal overdose. The ones that I have been a part of reversing, very chaotic, a lot going on. So again, we're in a facility where there's a lot of women, and so we're trying to do crowd control. It's very difficult to keep track of which nostril did I just put it in, did I wait 2 minutes? So that's why we do the rescue breathing and the chest compressions in between the doses. And again, it is not, the ideal is that you alternate nostrils. You do not have to. That is not going to make a big effect. And the answer is as many times as it takes. So if you have to do it, and we have seen, but gosh, back in 2020, I think we were able to reverse overdoses with maybe like 2 to 4 Narcan. We now are seeing overdoses that can take 8 to 12 to, I want to say at the men's there was one that took 16. Yes, like, I mean, so the stuff, you guys know, is getting much worse. And so as many times as it takes until EMS gets there. Yes, ma'am. That is an excellent question. So she said, if it looks like an overdose, but it's not, can naloxone hurt the person? The answer is no. The answer is no, with an exception. So I had to speak to EMS about this because I was not entirely sure of the answer. There is a small amount of people that are allergic to naloxone. What I have been advised by paramedics is that if you don't know if the person's allergic or if they are, by the time EMS gets there, they can reverse a allergic reaction, but they can't bring the person back to life. So opiates and opioids, that is what naloxone is specific to. We've had situations where we had one time someone had a seizure in the bathroom and the ladies found her. She was unresponsive. She did not have an overdose, but we always say err on the side of caution. So they went through with the overdose reversal. It was not an overdose, but it did not hurt her because it's specific to people that have the opiates and opioids on their receptors. That is an excellent question. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Randy. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. One more quick announcement that I forgot earlier. If you know people that are watching this via live stream, and for those of you that are watching this via live stream, because we're going to be playing music live during the breaks, the live stream will be turned off during the breaks. Because of that, we got into a little bit of trouble last year when we streamed it and streamed the music, which made no sense to me, but anyway, licensing laws. So our next speaker is someone that I've gotten to know a little bit personally, and am just amazed at how she has turned the loss of her daughter into action. Caroline lost her daughter, Caitlin, to an overdose in July of 2020. Since then, her calling has led her to immerse herself in the field of harm reduction via GC Stop. I'm not going to say anything else about that because Carolyn's story, I think, is best told by Carolyn Drake.
Stand right here. Hi, my name is Caroline Drake, and I am the Community Outreach Coordinator for GC Stop. I always write what I'm going to read because I can get a little wordy, so this will keep me in check and in the time frame I'm supposed to keep it in. My story started like many of yours here today. My baby, my firstborn, my girl who made me a mom, found herself caught in the throes of this disease of addiction. Once we knew, we were ready to join her fight alongside her, supporting her, letting her know that the love we had for her had no conditions or boundaries. But this beast was stronger than us and stronger than the battles she fought daily to outrun it. It seemed the harder she tried, the harder it hit. COVID was no help. Her meetings that she depended on, the human connection she needed, came to a screeching halt. It was the epidemic that no one was talking about because COVID was the only thing newsworthy at the time. For 9 months, she scratched, clawed, and fought to maintain her recovery, but old friends and ongoing battles with the voices that would not stop led her again down the road that she tried so hard not to take. The moment that I got the call that she was found unresponsive in our bathroom is one that haunts me to this day. Her breathing was restored, but she was not. 12 days in ICU, where we were not allowed to see her because of COVID restrictions, and we had to make the decision that no parent should ever have to make. We had to let our baby go. It was the worst day of my life, followed by days that I had to continuously remind myself to breathe. Those first days and weeks, I can't tell you how I survived them, but somehow I did. I sat on my deck from sunup to sundown, where she was all around me, in the sun, the moon, the butterflies, the stars, and the rainbows. The chilliness of fall brought me inside and got me thinking about the 3 guys she incessantly talked about from GC Stop. Their names were Chase, Tyler, and Guillermo. She told me how they were there for her when she felt no one else was, not only offering clean supplies and Narcan, but love, compassion, and hope. At first, I didn't understand. As a mother, it seemed to me that they were supporting her addiction. But what I came to know is that we had the last 2 years with her only because of the Narcan she received that saved her life, the first night that she got it. I had to get to know these boys who literally saved her life. What I was met with was the same compassion that she spoke of. They were just as heartbroken to see her lose her battle. I wanted to help, and they let this mom bust right in and do just that. I was broken, and they paved a way to let this mama's heart start to heal by creating a space for others like my daughter who were struggling, those who deserved to feel valued and loved. For a glorious 1.5 years, we had Caitlin's house, where anyone was welcome to come get out of the heat, to warm from the cold, to take a shower, to wash their clothes, to get some food in their stomachs, clean supplies and Narcan, and most importantly, a place to come where they would not be judged for the disease they didn't ask to have. While working 30 hours a week at my other job, I was there 2 days a week, every week, the days the house was open. I cooked, I cleaned, I organized, but my favorite moments were the quieter times that I could just sit and talk, or sometimes just listen to the sons, the daughters, the moms, the dads, who just needed to know that someone cared about them. You see, this world we live in is full of labels, judgment, shame, and stigma, perpetuating an already all-consuming disease. Shame drives people further into darkness, where life-changing and life-ending choices are made. Shame drives people to use alone. Shame affects the value people put on themselves. It is not our job or our place to inflict any of these feelings on another person, but it happens far too often, and we have to be the change. The change that makes someone feel cared about, loved, and most importantly, that they are truly valued. At GC Stop, we meet people where they are and not where we think they should be. We hear on a daily basis, practically, from past and present participants that GC Stop saved their lives. For those still struggling, we are there, reminding them that their disease does not define them. We make sure that they have Narcan, and we remind them to have someone with them that can use it. This is reality. We need to keep people alive so that they can have a chance to recover, and we need to love them through it. We no longer have Caitlin's house, but we do have a clinic where we now can help those that want to pursue medication-assisted recovery, where participants can also receive counseling, referrals to treatment, and I make sure they have a full belly before they head out the door. Other days are spent out in the community, reaching the the most vulnerable. Connection is so very important. We have a team that responds to reported overdoses so that we can let folks know that we are here for them. We also check on our folks that may have been incarcerated, and some of our team go into the jails to continue that connection. When they are released, that can be a very vulnerable time, so we want to make sure they are supported. To say that I am honored, humbled, and so very proud to be able to carry my Caitlin's legacy in a way that honors everything she believed in is an understatement. These were her people, and they are now my people. They finally realized I wasn't going away, so in January of this year, I became an official part of the team. I will spend the rest of my days hoping to spare another family what mine has gone through. I see my daughter in every face, soul, and heart. I often say that she is driving this ship, and I am just a willing passenger. And I have found purpose in my pain, and I am grateful. And that's what I got. Thanks for inviting me, Randy.
Thank you. Okay, so logistics issue that I just figured out, it's on us, but we're going to take about a 2-minute break while we fix an issue. And then after that, we're going to go right into the first reading of names. A couple of notes. While we're reading names, the banner, and that's what we've got to fix. I put the banner in the back, and I needed to put it in the front. The banner will be up front. We're going to move it right here directly in front of the stage while the names are being read. And then we'll move it away after the names are read. But the names are going to be read from off stage this year. So we want people to be able to focus on the banner. Think about the names, think about the loved ones, and just kind of be here for each other, okay? So give us 2 minutes while we grab that banner, bring it up front, and we'll be right back. Into the first reading. And one last thing, right at the end of that first reading, we will go straight into a 15-minute break. So those of you that are up, talking, meeting each other, if you wouldn't mind, we would like during the segments of name readings, we would like everybody's attention to please be focused on the names. And then we will go straight into a break where you can go back out to the tables. I'm getting ready to get. If we could have everyone's attention, please. Guys, this day is about remembering our loved ones. Sorry. is about remembering our loved ones and honoring them. And one of the ways that we're going to do that is by reading their names. So we would really, really appreciate everyone's attention on the names as they're being read, please. Guys, you'll have a chance to mingle and talk and visit the tables, and we really want you to do that after the reading, please. Thank you.
Vanessa Abbott, Matthew Afshner, Jordan Adams, Heather Adele, Ashley Adler, Oliver Aguilera, Brett Airy, Lindsay Alford, Taylor Allen, Jordan Archibald, Jared Archibald, Jeffrey Ard, Zachary Arnold, Danielle Ash, Patrick Atkinson, Joshua Ayers, Gabriel Bailey, Blake Bailey, Jonathan Barefoot, Josh Barefoot, Brandon Bass, Lauren Beard, Jake Buchanan, Linda Becker, Austin Becker, Philip Thomas Beddard, Alan Belk, Chandler Benfield, Josh Bergoskowitz, Andrew Bettelspot, Michael Bevins, Griffin Blim, Jess Bogoski, Brittany Boone, Aaron Borton, Alan Michael Boyd, Andrew Brannon, Nathaniel Breshers, Evan Rufus Brewer, Heather Britt, Michael Brooks, Jonathan Seth Brooks, Anna Brooks, Stephen Brown, Sarah Brown, Hunter Brown, Christopher Brown, Christina Brown Johnson, Michael Browning, Mike Burton Jr., Sterling Mac Bryant, Kevin Bryant, Zach Bumgarner, Joshua Bumgarner, J.D. Bunch, Jonathan J.D. Burkhart, Sasha Burns, Joshua Buss, Matthew Calls, Alyssa Cameo, Anthony Campellone, Jonathan Cannon, Michael Carden, Travis Sicario, Adrian Carrier, Amber Carter, Michael Carter, Austin Carter, Crystal Carthen, Violent Charge, Alan Michael Chavez, Austin Chowdhury, Lauren Church, Jared Citron, Elizabeth Clare, and William Taylor.
Corey Clark, Alan Clark, Randy Clark, Kenny Clay, Jessica Clonch, Daniel Coffey, Harry Cohen, Sean Coley, Taylor Collins, Andrew Cohn, Kirby Core, Brandon Courtwright, Jeremy Cox, Abigail Cox, Gavin Cox, David Cox, and Will Cox. Linda Coiner, Michael Blaze Craddock, Lucas Crawford, Shane Cray, Adam Creep, Jordan Cood, Mingo Rodriguez Q, Kevin Cummings, Boone Cummings, Timothy Curry, Kent Dalston, Brian Dale, Hunter Dalton, Joshua Daltrey, Megan Davis, Joey Dons, Crystal DePonte, Curtis Dawkins, PJ Donahue, Amanda Downey, Caitlin Drake, Tyler Drawn, Joseph Dubell, Brad Dunigan, Tiffany Duncan, Ashley Elizabeth Smith Rees, Lisa Estep, Travis Evans, Matthew Esther, Tyler Fair, Tate Faulkner, Michael Ferguson, Stephen Fife, William Finch, Garrett Fleming, Michelle Fletcher, Joseph Foote, Matthew Fothergill, Olivia Fracker, Joshua Franca, Jason Freeman, Bryson Freeman, Trey Fulford, Christy Fuquay, Graham Gallagher, Billy Gardner, Bradley Garrett, Jordan Raquel Gilbert, John Giuseppe, Joshua Glazer, John Godwin, Kenneth Grace Jr., Jeremy Graham, Zachary Grazier, Timothy Green, William Grammel, Eddie Gerganis.
Okay, we'll have about a 15-minute break. Please, everyone, try to visit every table here. We've got a lot of great resources. That 15 minutes went by really quick. So, but I want to try to keep us on track and keep us on schedule if at all possible. So, again, I want to thank all of our amazing resource table sponsors. I know you get caught up in conversation, and sometimes it's not possible to talk to all of them. But if there are any that you don't get to talk to tonight that you really wanted to get information from, just reach out to us. Let us know. We'll make sure we get the information and the contact for all of our resource table partners. And we will be posting all of those on the Facebook page as well. This year we always seem like we're rushed to get everything done the last couple of weeks because we try to give as much time as possible to get sponsorships in and get everything in. Unfortunately, we had a little glitch with our graphics and we were not able to get our sponsorship banner, but I want to mention a few of our sponsors from this year, and many of them have tables here today. But and these sponsors are come to us in a lot of different ways, in support, in-kind donations. For instance, Santa Clean donated use of the portable restroom for the day. Anytime we're able to get those kinds of donations, that saves us money that can go into the Treatment and Recovery Assistance Fund. So we're grateful for those. A few that I want to mention that are here today, the North Carolina Recovery Helpline, they help us out immensely. Moral support, mental support, telling us, to do what we need to do. Myself, Frida, we've got several of our coworkers that are here today. We all have the opportunity and the honor to work for the North Carolina Recovery Helpline. So, we're just grateful. No Hope, North Carolina, Frida McDonald, who is a part of the planning committee, her tireless work on promoting this, promoting No Hope, promoting, remembrance of our lost loved ones through billboards. So that's just a few of the sponsors, and I'll be talking about more during the breaks, but please get out and visit. So next, we want to go back to our presenters. Our next presenter, since I became active in advocacy in this space, there have been a couple of times that I've heard comments made, especially early on, that made me stop dead in my tracks. One of those comments, the first time and this is so vivid, I can remember it was at McKimmon Center in the auditorium, and when this was said, my heart literally, I got that burning feeling you get when you're frightened. But the comment was, I heard someone say, one of the speakers, that the substance use disorder epidemic and the overdose epidemic was a pediatric issue. I didn't understand that. It made no sense to me, but when I heard them say this is a pediatric issue, it kind of made me a little frustrated. And then they went on to explain that a study of adults that identified as having a substance use disorder, 90% of those started experimenting in high school. Over 60% started experimenting as early as middle school or younger. And I thought, wow, that really shines a light on what we need to be doing and where we need to be starting. Then the next thing I heard was when somebody mentioned recovery high schools, I remember feeling both happy and sad. Sad that we had to have such a thing, and so happy that they exist. Leah Wright has been a pioneer in that field and in that space. She's the founder of Wake Monarch Academy, the first recovery high school in this area. Through her strong faith, her career as an educator and journey with her own son, Leah felt led to start a high school where adolescents recovering from substance use disorder could successfully pursue academic, personal, and professional goals. Leah?
everyone. I'm honored to be able to speak at this event now for 6 years in a row, as I've been able to share the progress from when our Recovery High School was very early in the planning stages to now as we're going into our 4th school year. But first, before I want to say anything, I just wanted to say my heart goes out to the families and the friends of the loved ones that we honor today. It is so important that we continue to bring honor to those we have lost to the disease of addiction, to spread awareness, educate others, and to fight to break the stigma of addiction. Stories are powerful, and we all have a voice. For those we have lost, for those that are not yet in recovery, and for those in recovery, we are all stronger together. For those of you that are not familiar with the Recovery High School, it is a place where adolescents in recovery from substance use can continue their education and achieve a high school diploma. We serve 9th through 12th grade students, ages 13 to 21 ages. The safe and supportive environment and positive and loving culture is conducive to learning. With recovery support available and integrated throughout the day, we are a college-ready program. We have dual enrollment with Wake Tech, where students can achieve high school credit and college credit at the same time. We prepare the students for college, but we are supportive to whatever their goals and aspirations are after high school. We set them up to the best of our ability for success. Support is also given to the families because addiction is a family disease. This past June, we had our 2nd graduation ceremony, where 3 of our students with combined sobriety of over 1,800 days graduated with a high school diploma and are now pursuing their dreams, which all involve helping others. I am excited to share that Wake Monarch Academy was one of 13 organizations, along with Healing Transitions and the North Carolina Harm Reduction Coalition, to be chosen for funding distributed through the National Opioid Funding Settlement Funds. Our plans are to expand our programming and the development of what is called an alternative peer group, or an APG. If you were to think of an after-school care program, an APG will provide recovery support to adolescents with substance use disorder and/or mental health issues. This will be led by a clinical director, where adolescents will have group and individual counseling, family support, and pro-social activities. Adolescents will learn how to have sober fun and build those positive peer relationships. This program will be free to any family and allow more lives to be saved. We are very appreciative and grateful for this opportunity. You can follow us on social media or on our website, wakemonarchacademy.org, as we develop this program, and you can also see our events because we still need your help. We still need to spread awareness. Our Be the Light 5K run for any fun runners out there is on September the 14th at Apex Friendship High School. And our Gala for Recovery, which is going to be really special, where Darryl Strawberry, a former Major League Baseball player, shares his story of overcoming addiction, will be on November 2nd. There was an early bird special, and it expires tonight. Just want to put that out there. So last year was an amazing opportunity, as we had a group of our students that were able to speak and share their WMA experience and what recovery means to them. This year, I asked one of our recent graduates to share his high school experience of entering as a sophomore and recently graduating in June. With this being a Saturday and a holiday weekend, his family decided to take a last-minute trip, but he was gracious to write something up to read in his absence. He apologizes he cannot be here today, and he hopes you understand. I'm going to ask one of our recovery support staff, Riley McCloskey, to read what Christian prepared. After Raleigh finishes, you're going to hear from one of our parents, Deborah Ferris, as she will share about her family's journey and experience at WMA. In closing, Recovery High Schools work, but the need is great. We need more of them. I encourage anyone who has a passion for youth and recovery, please reach out to me. Please, you can notify or get in touch with me through the website or stop by our table, and I'll give you my business card. It has my cell phone on it. A Recovery High School sets up adolescents to be successful because peer-to-peer support is crucial in recovery. Recovery is best in community. Help us to continue to save lives. Thank you.
Hey everyone, my name is Riley McCluskey. I'm a person in long-term recovery. I got sober 12 years ago on August 18th. My story involves attending an alternative high school at the end of my high school experience, which kind of at the time it didn't really push me to getting sober just then, but a couple of years later it helped me like look back and realize I needed to make some change. This event is actually hits home for me really hard because my yesterday or 2 days ago would have been my little brother's 31st birthday, but he passed away of an overdose in 2016, and his name was Tyler, and he was my best friend. But you know, I think back to high school and when this really like kicked in, this whole like addiction and alcoholism thing kicked in for me and my brother. If I had had an opportunity to go to a school like Wake Monarch or had a place where I saw other young people like having fun and being in recovery and really just like living a good life, maybe I would have like questioned it sooner and changed some things sooner. So this is Christian's story that he wrote up for Wake Monarch. Hello, my name is Christian Villitson and I'm a proud graduate of Wake Monarch Academy. My journey starts off as most. As a child, I never felt as if I belonged or fit in. There was always something that separated me from the people around me. I was always concerned with how I was perceived, my reputation, and how others saw me. I always had placed an internal hierarchy with the people in my life. Me either always at the very top or everyone, or at the very bottom of everyone, depending on the day. As I grew up and entered middle school and high school, I had found a solution to my problems. I started smoking weed and drinking occasionally with friends. I thought it would help me fit in. But I soon found that when I was high, I did not have to worry about how others perceived me or if I fit in or not. As my use continued, I realized that every time I was high, I was able to numb the feelings inside of me. I no longer had to put on an act. I no longer had to fight the world around me. This led me to use on a daily basis and experiment with other drugs. I began to always be high. I began to burn bridges with my friends and family. I lied to those around me, stole, and cheated. I would do anything to get my way and to feel okay. This led me to my bottom. Towards the end of my use, there were multiple days where I would be alone in my room, not wanting to die, but also not wanting to be alive. I had reached true hopelessness. My solution was no longer working, so I felt there was none. I had lost connection with all those around me. I felt completely alone. That is when I found the Insight program. I was surrounded by people who loved and accepted me for who I was. I found that I no longer had to put on an act to impress these people. I finally felt understood by another human being. This pushed me to stay sober. After my intensive outpatient, I joined Wake Monarch Academy to finish high school. At Wake Monarch, I began to find out who I really was. I took ownership of the things in my life. I took responsibilities for my actions and continued to try to grow as a person. At Wake Monarch Academy, I was always pushed by the people around me to grow. I had learned how to be a good person, and how to live by spiritual principles. At Wake Monarch Academy, with the help of the staff and friends at school, I was able to build a future. I now get to say that I have a purpose in my life. All of my past and all in which I have been through serves me today. I do not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. But I embrace it and use my struggles to share experience and hope to other addicts around me. I have aspirations to become a substance abuse counselor so I can continue to help and serve those who are just like me. I am eternally grateful for the gift of sobriety and for Wake Monarch Academy to help push me to be the man I am today. Thank you.
Hello. Is it on? Yes. One life, my daughter. One day your heart stops and it immediately hits you. Will she get better? I have watched her lie and manipulate over and over again. I witnessed her escape our home. Where is she? Is she safe? I was crushed when I found out that she tried to end her life twice. Will she ever get better? Will she find her way? This is not what I envisioned for my child. In March of last year, my daughter and I took a tour of an incredible school called Wake Monarch Academy. After the tour of the school, she looked me straight in the eyes and she said, I want to come here. Really? Go back to school, work on your sobriety, be around kids again, possibly graduate? I was thrilled. One life, my daughter's life. So on March 30th, 2023, Wake Monarch Academy started changing her life. She woke up in the morning ready to go to school. I didn't have to pull her out of bed. I would pick her up after school and she would tell me about all the really cool things that they did throughout the day. She was making friends, and she was now enrolled in academics again. No way. How is this possible? I saw a glimpse of hope instead of death. My daughter shared that had she not been able to attend this school, she would not be alive. Wake Monarch Academy has changed my daughter's life, my family's life, and we will be forever grateful, because without this incredible school, we would not be here today. One life, my daughter's life. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Leah. Thank you, Wake Monarch Academy. Can't say how much that means to me, what you guys do. So now I'd like to introduce two amazing ladies, Nicole Singletary and Alyssa Kittless. I would like to say, they're on their way up, but I would like to say some things about you guys. Nicole is the Drug and Injury Prevention Unit Manager for Wake County and a recovery advocate. She is passionate about reducing stigma to reduce barriers to accessing treatment. She manages the Wake County Drug Overdose Prevention Initiative, a comprehensive plan to prevent drug overdoses, support harm reduction efforts, and reduce risk-taking behaviors. Nicole currently co-chairs the Wake County Drug Overdose Prevention Coalition, supervises the Wake County Recovery Court Program Supervisor, and works closely with Alyssa Kittless, the Opioid Settlement Program Manager. Alyssa, our Opioid Settlement Program Manager for Wake County, serves in this role overseeing the opioid settlement funds coming into Wake County, which includes co-leading countywide coalition, identifying opportunities to center lived experience and equity in the work, managing the program budget and contracts, reporting to leadership, and evaluating funded interventions. Prior to joining Wake County, Alyssa worked for the North Carolina Division of Public Health, Philadelphia Department of Public Health, NASTAD, and NACCHO. Alyssa completed her Master's of Public Health degree at Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, where she was a Bloomberg American Health Fellow focused on overdose and addiction. And one last thing that I would like to add to this on a personal note, when I lost my son in 2016 to an overdose, I was very much struggling with trying to help one of his friends get into Wake Brook. And unfortunately, on that particular day, there wasn't a bed available. So I reached out to a dear friend that had helped me along the way with the loss of my older son. And I said, who can I talk to? What can I do? And she said, you need to meet Nicole Singletary. And I began attending the Wake County Prevention Coalition, Drug Overdose Coalition, on a quarterly basis. So it is such an honor to have her here at this event for me personally, and along with my recent person that I have had the honor of meeting, Alyssa Kittless. So thank you for both being here.
Oh, well, I knew this was going to be a hard event to speak at, and I just wanted to thank you all. I feel very humbled to be in this space, but as Frida mentioned, my name is Alyssa Kittless, and I'm the Opioid Settlement Program Manager with Wake County, which basically just means I have some money, which when Randy spoke about having hope and opportunities, that's really what I am hoping that this message will relay is we are at a turning point where we have funding that can support this work. So I feel very ungrounded based on all the things I've shared so far, but I wanted to thank everyone for being here and for sharing your stories, telling me about your loved ones. And I'm feeling both heartbroken, but also enraged and motivated to make sure that we don't add any more names to this list. And so I'm going to be talking about the work we're doing here in Wake County, particularly with our opioid settlement funds. I'm sure many of you have heard about these funds, but these are resources that are a result of hundreds of lawsuits by family members like you all and loved ones who lost people in their lives due to the overdose crisis or to opioid use, and are really holding the companies that catalyze aspects of the overdose crisis responsible for the work that they did, particularly the aggressive marketing around prescription opioids. And so these funds are so important because they're the most money we've had in a long time to really make a difference, but they also are in memory of the individuals we love and have lost to this crisis. And so we need to make sure we're using them as responsibly and thoughtfully as possible. And so North Carolina as a state, we're getting $1.5 billion. That's billion with a B, so lots of money coming into the state. Wake County, we are getting $65 million. That's the most money we've ever had to do this type of work. And it's exciting. It really is. We have 18 years to spend it. We're in year 3, so we have 16 more years to go. But we can't miss this opportunity. You know, we've heard, I know we all can say the name of too many people that we've loved that we've lost, and we need to make sure that these funds are being used in their honor. And so Randy asked us to share about the work we're doing in Wake, and I think there's a lot of stuff we can improve, and we definitely are learning and growing, but there's a lot of work that we're proud of, and that's what I wanted to highlight today. And so the first thing that I think is most exciting about the work we're doing, and I'm hoping, I know there are lots of folks coming from other counties, I'm hoping your counties are doing this as well. I didn't mention this, but most of the money is actually coming into the county level. And so this is an opportunity for you to get involved in your local community and really shape what you need where you are. And so we in Wake County, I think one of the most central things to the work we're doing, you're going to hear about our Overdose Coalition, but we're really letting people like Frida and our partners at the front line. We heard from Leah, and we have North Carolina Harm Reduction Coalition and Healing Transitions. The people who are doing the work, who have the lived experience, who've been impacted, they are closest to the answers. They can tell us where our systems are broken. We know they're so broken and what the needs are, but we really need to make sure that you all, your voices are so important that they're involved in making these decisions. And so I encourage you, if you're in Wake County and you're not currently involved, Nicole will share how you can get involved, but please find us afterwards. And then if you're in another county, definitely encourage you to get connected locally. It's so important that you're part of these conversations. And then I mentioned that we have a coalition. That's been really important to our work. We've had a lot of community meetings. So again, if you're in Wake County, we'd love for you to come to our future meetings. We also have an advisory committee, which is so important because we want to make sure that your voices are part of the process throughout, not just a one-time event. And so we definitely want to make sure we're getting that engagement long-term. And then another thing that's really important is we're getting out the funding to the partners who are doing the work. So we heard from Leah about Wake Monarch Academy, if you had a chance to visit North Carolina Harm Reduction Coalition, but we really need to make sure that these funds are getting out to the organizations who are most closely connected. Another thing that Nicole and I are really proud of, and we'll just put a plug in for our table, is that Wake County, we, before the opioid settlement funds, had a budget of about $10,000 a year for naloxone. We have a county of over 1 million people. So clearly a life-saving medication that reverses an overdose, that is not enough money. And so in the past 2 months actually, our budget has increased 30-fold. And so we've really prioritized strategies that are saving lives and really want to focus on getting naloxone out to the community. And so I will just mention we still have some naloxone kits on our table. And so if you don't have some or don't know where to get some, you can come see us. Some other things that have been really important to our funding is making sure that we're following evidence-based programs. We know what works. We have these strategies that are so important to support the people we love, but in a lot of places they're not available. So here in Wake County, we've really made an effort to invest in medications for opioid use disorder for un- and underinsured individuals. I saw Dr. Morse here from Morse Clinic. They're one of our partners that's actually going to be operating a mobile opioid treatment program, and we'll be bringing medications out into the community. And so we're really at a time where we can't keep doing what we're doing because it's not working. We need to keep moving the envelope and investing in things that we know work. Some other things that are really critical we hear in our community all the time are supporting young people and families, and so early intervention and evidence-based harm reduction messages are one of our key strategies, as well as housing. I know housing is an issue everywhere, but particularly, and I'm preaching to the choir in that I imagine many people here have navigated this challenge, but housing for people in recovery on medications for opioid use disorder is incredibly hard, and which is why we've included that as one of our biggest strategies. And so, like I said, we're still learning and growing, but some of the things that we're doing that we're most proud of is really just making sure we're continuing to create space at the table and let everyone, who's in this, I want to say room, but it's not a room, everyone's here, are helping shape the conversation. So again, if you're in Wake County, Nicole's going to share how you can get connected locally, but we're only able to do this if we all work together. And so thank you for being here, and we hope that we can stay connected to make the best use of these resources.
So I want to say thank you so much for being here, sending so many love and prayers to those of you who have experienced a family member who has died of an overdose or an unintentional poisoning. I am here to represent Wake County Health and Human Services, the Apex Mayor's Substance Misuse Task Force, an individual who has loved ones who struggle with substances, and most importantly, a recovery ally. And a few years ago, I had the privilege to talk to Chris Butnick, who's the Executive Director of Healing Transitions, and he really taught me what a recovery ally is. And I've had the opportunity to work in Wake County for about 12 years now, and I see some familiar faces in the room. So I want to share with you a little bit about what other things we're doing in Wake County to help address the issue of substance use and mental health. We have a coalition that was birthed in 2015, and I was so afraid that the coalition would dissolve as a result of COVID. But what we learned is that not only is it still here, but it's better than ever. And we meet quarterly on the fourth Tuesday of January, April, July, and October in various parts of the county. And we talk about how to address substance use. We network. And this group is it's better than ever. And so I want to invite you to that group if you are local and not already a part of it. I know that there are some coalition members here. And one of the things that has birthed out of that, we have several coalitions that are working coalitions, is increasing access to syringe and harm reduction supplies, increasing access to naloxone. Alyssa mentioned my budget is really, really small, and it's been really difficult over the past few years to turn people down to say, I don't have naloxone. Now we do. It's so exciting to be able to distribute this medication at this event today. A couple of other things that we're doing through the Drug Overdose Initiative is providing a contract with the Rapid Responder Post-Overdose Response Team. We were the first in North Carolina to deploy one, and that is a coordinated effort with Healing Transitions, Wake County EMS, and Wake County Public Health. And that team has been able to help many other teams get started across the state. There are over 20 post-overdose response teams in North Carolina, and I think that's incredible. It just speaks that it starts with one person and one group, and then that group and that initiative can be duplicated. The other thing that we do through our drug overdose funding is to work with recovery communities in North Carolina. They created a curriculum through the UNC School of Social Work with a focus around peer support substance use. A lot of our peer support programs in North Carolina have a strong focus around mental health, which is great. However, we need to address substance use as well. We provide funding for them to conduct 3 trainings each and every year at no cost. So if you want to get involved in our coalition, or you want to get involved with any of that training, if you'll reach out to me. Unfortunately, I have to leave to go to another event, but find Frida or Randy or Healing Transitions, and they can give you my contact information. And I'm just so excited to be a part of this, although it's, as Alyssa said, it's heavy and it's heartbreaking. Let's turn our pain into purpose. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I have to tell a story about our next speaker. And the first year we decided to do our candlelight vigil and walk up and around the Capitol like we'll do tonight. Some wires got crossed somewhere along the way, and we were supposed to have security to hold traffic for us. And we didn't. So we're trying to figure out, okay, how are we going to get across? So what we decided to do is we told everybody, hey, when you get to the end of the sidewalk, wait on the crowd. Then when we cross, we'll all wait for each other on the other side so nobody gets hit by traffic. Somebody spoke up and said, no, I got this. And she did. She got out in the middle of the road and held traffic while we all got across. I think we only had one car blow their horn, and I was pretty well convinced it was because they knew better. So Leslie is someone that has a very special place in my heart, and I know a lot of other hearts. So, Leslie.
Hi, I'm Leslie Lewis. I am 8.5 years into recovery, and my sister was Katie Thomas. So I'm just going to read you a little bit about our journeys. Substance use and abuse can begin for a plethora of reasons. A kid gets put on prescription oxys after a surgery at the impressionable age of 13. A mother loses her baby during childbirth and afterwards has to numb the pain of life without that child. Or a teenager just tries something at a party one time. There are numerous reasons why substance use happens and how it does, but there are only 2 endpoints for whatever reason that it begins: recovery or death. In the summer of 2015, my sister and I had both been back and forth with our substance use for well over 2 years at that point. I was around 90 days clean, out of detox, and living with my mother when my sister Katie came over to tell us she is ready to get clean and also go to detox. The catch was that she needed help gathering her things from a hotel in Durham, and me being her big sister that wants her to be clean also, I decided to be the one that went and helped. I already knew in the back of my mind that she was going to get me high before I was ever going to get her clean. And that is exactly what happened when we arrived at that hotel room. An old dealer pulled up for her to get high one last time before detox, and he slid me a bag as well. Katie done 3 bags, I did 1. The difference was that I had been clean for so long that my tolerance had lowered drastically. By the time we made it to the elevator to go back up to her room, I fell out. The next thing I remember was waking up on a gurney and hurting all over my body. I had overdosed, and it had taken 3 Narcan shots and defibrillators to bring me back that night. They told me that Katie had saved my life by being quick and calling 911 immediately. She also would not allow them to give up on me until I was breathing again. I would love to be able to say I never used again after that night, but that would be a lie. After that experience, I just stuck to pills because I knew what was in those, which we all know is a lie as well today. Eventually, after a few more life lessons and attempting to take my own life, I ended up checking myself into detox again and went on to a 2-year rehab in Western North Carolina. 9 months into being at that rehab and in recovery, I came home because I told my mom that I had a really weird feeling and just couldn't shake the thought of needing to be at home at that time. My mom was scared and reluctant, but she let me come home, and we spent 3 beautiful days catching up and spending time together as a family. I had still not reached out to my sister because the thought honestly scared me. On the 4th day home, August 17th, 2016, our lives were forever changed, split into a before and an after by the knock of a sheriff on our door. My sister Katie had lost her back and forth battle with addiction. She was 21 years old. She was 21 years old. She died in a jail cell in another state all alone. This beautiful human being that made sure that my life was fought for had no one there to fight for hers. This is something I still struggle with daily. In the years since my sister has passed away, me and my mom have tried our hardest to keep her memory and name alive by helping others in similar situations when they need it. Eventually, I decided that maybe helping others out of what I was once trapped in was the answer to giving all of this pain inside some purpose. I decided to go back to school and educate myself more on substance abuse, mental health, and harm reduction, and I have learned so much in this time. I am now a certified substance abuse counselor, and I'll graduate with my associates in human services in May of next year. A major thing that has stuck with me is that overdose is preventable and harm reduction is essential. Harm reduction is a way that we can meet substance users where they are at in their journeys and help them to safely make it to the other side of potential recovery. I also now have custody of my children back. I have a new daughter named Katie Lynn that was born on Overdose Awareness Day in 2020, and she would have never existed if it wouldn't have been for Narcan and Katie. I have surrounded my life in all things recovery, and eventually I want to open my own rehab facility in the Western North Carolina area. I want it to be the type of place that my sister needed while she was here, a place of understanding and acceptance, a place where you feel at home in your recovery and you can rebuild your life back to where it was or even better, a place that Katie deserved to have the chance to make it to, but others now can because of her. I can only hope and pray she sees all of the beautiful things that came from her short life here, and if I am able to help one family out of having to feel the heartache that mine has every day since losing her, then I feel her life will have been honored in the best way it possibly could be. In closing, I would like to say thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share mine and my sister's story with all of you here today. And if there is anyone who feels overwhelmed or defeated by substances, I can promise you that there is a way out. And if you cannot see the way yet, there is a safer way in order to make it to this side. You can do things such as testing your supply with test strips to make sure that no fentanyl is in it, making sure that Narcan or naloxone are always available, and never using alone. I am a living, breathing example of the things that recovery can do for you. It is possible, and it is worth it. Stay safe, y'all.
Harmon Gherkin, Austin Guthrie, Cole Gervadis, Kelly Hale, Pula Hammock, Kevin Harlan, Cody Harnish, Callie Harper, Damon Harris, Jeremy Harrison, Will Hayes, Nelson Heath, Austin Heath, David Heller, Jacqueline Helmsky, Amanda Henderson, Skylar Hirsch, Pamela Hewitt, Crystal Height, Jeremy Height, Edith Height, Ashley Hines, Shane Hensley, Taylor Hirsch, Joseph Hockett II, Leighton Holliday, Joshua Holland, Eric Hollinsworth, Sean Horan, Stephen Horn, Linda House, Bethany Howell, Ava Howland, James Felton Huddleston, Matthew Huggins, Alexander Humphrey, Corey Hunt, Jeffrey Scott Hudson, Jose Esquerdo, Amanda Jackson Lippard, Josh Jacobs, Dylan Jeffries, Jesse Johnson, Bear Johnson, Taylor Johnson, Brian Johnston, Samuel Johnston, Cody Jordan, Jessica Jordan, Ryan Joyner, Cody Joyner, Christopher Joyner, Bryant Joyner, Samuel Kane, Andy Catchew, Sean Kay, Heather Kelly, Griffin Kelton, Ken King, Danny King, Daria Kean, Cassidy Knapp, John Koenig, Ashley Coles, Rochelle Lambeth, Stephanie Lamb, Tim Lehman, Jason Leah, Jonathan Ledbetter, Andrea Lehman, Kara Jean Leone DeCoste, Brett Lewis, Adam Eatman, Sean Curtis, Holly Halshauser, Vincent Rodenwall, Darth Valchevsky, and my son, Michael Hoyle.
Lathan Lilly, Amanda Lippard, Owen Livernoy, Adam Locklear, Ryan Locklear, Jordan Locklear, Evan Love, James Lovelace, Ethan Lucas, Carissa Maduse, Christopher Manus, my daughter Maddie Marini, Alicia Markham, J. Douglas Martin, Alex Martin, Trevor Martin, Stephanie Matheson Swearingen, Joshua Mathewson, John Mayer, Logan McAdams, Cameron McAnch, Lauren McBain Hubbard, Josh McBride, Patrick McCormick, Timothy McDonald, Joel McGinnis, Ryan McKinney, Morgan McKinney, Colby McMillan, Megan McPhail, Edward Medlin Jr., Caleb Melman, Taylor Miller, Michelle Miller, Paul Mills, Sally Moore, Ryan Moore, Thomas Moorfield, Joseph Morgan, Seth Morgan, Michael Morong, Catherine Grace Moses, Walter Maudlin, Brandon Moxley, Brian Murphy, Amber Dawn Murphy McKnight, Nick Musgrave, Joey Muth, Adam Neal, Heavenly Nelson, Trevor Nelson, Josh Nicholson, Josh Nixon, Graham Noah, Jeremy O'Neill, Michael O'Donnell Jr., Megan Oldham, Brian Oliver, Sheldon Oxley, Tim Parham, Joshua Parnell, Mark Parrish II, Colleen Payne, Logan Peden, Dave Peer, Patrick Penley, Jason Perry, Clint Pethel, Dawson Pettit, Joey Phillips, Michael Phillips, Merritt Pike, Jason Pizza, Nicole Plevy, Kirsten Pogue.
I didn't do it. Okay, one more quick note. So for the candlelight vigil, there are candles. We have to use battery-operated candles, unfortunately, but they are at the tent in the back. So if you haven't gotten a candle during the next break, you'll have plenty of time to go back and grab those. So let me grab my banner out of the way.
Okay, everybody, we're going to get started back with our program.
All right, so we've got, I know it's been a long day already. We've done a lot, and it's hot, it's muggy. This might be the most humid one I remember so far, but we're going to get started back with our speakers and our presenters. So thank you.
Okay, I have the honor and privilege of introducing our next guest up here. His name is Casey Temple. He is the Director of Operations for Recovery Live Incorporated. Casey is a grateful believer in Jesus, celebrating sobriety since December 7th, 2013. Go, Casey. As the Director of Operations for Recovery Alive Incorporated, Casey excels in creating systems of care in recovery-ready churches, representing both God and the community with unwavering dedication and compassion. A suicide attempt survivor, Casey is registered with the American Association of Christian Counselors as a certified mental health coach and recovery life coach, using his personal experiences to offer hope and guidance to those in need. Casey and his wife Tisha have been living in recovery for over 10 years, married for 4 years. They have 4 children and 4 grandchildren. Together, they are passionate advocates for those struggling with substance use and mental health disorders, building positive relationships in their community and working tirelessly to eliminate the stigma surrounding these issues. So Tisha was supposed to be here tonight, but unless she's going to arrive fashionably late, as she does sometimes, no, she won't be here tonight. She's actually at home resting from a sickness that she's got going on right now. But we do want to just read her bio as well, because it's our intention that we have both of them speak, since they do this work together, and we think it's just so awesome that they can do this in the community and serve together. Tisha Temple is a grateful believer in Jesus, celebrating sobriety since July 26, 2014. She is registered with the North Carolina Addiction Specialist Professional Practice Board as a certified alcohol drug counselor. Tisha is the founder of Recovery Alive Homes and works as the Chief Resource Officer at Recovery Alive Incorporated, where she excels in creating systems of care in recovery-ready churches, representing God and the community with dedication and compassion. Tisha's bold dream of opening a Christ-centered recovery home became a reality on March the 1st, 2023, with the launch of the first Recovery Alive home, Grow in Grace RA Homes. And it offers a safe haven for individuals recovering from substance use disorders, providing leadership, accountability, friendship, support, and encouragement. Tisha and her husband Casey have been living in recovery for over 10 years, married for 4 children, 4 grandchildren. And we are so grateful to have Casey here representing both of them tonight.
Thank you. Hello, hello, hello. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Well, anybody that knows my wife knows that she is in some terrible pain if she didn't show up to this event. So you all please pray for her. She went to the urgent care, and the doctor says she has some arthritis in her hip. And they gave her some medicine, and hopefully she's at home resting. Like Jeanette said, Randy, thank you for allowing us to be here. Tisha usually does all the talking, so I'm going to try to pick up her slack. Um, like she said, I'm the Director of Business Operations for Recovery Lives Incorporated. I'm living in long-term recovery since December 7, 2013. I want to give you a little backdrop of my background right quick. I'm a suicide attempt survivor. I grew up in a home where I did not know how to deal with my feelings and emotions in a healthy way. And so as a result of that, I bottled in every emotion I had, whether it's anger, sadness, fear, excitement, happiness. And I took my first drink of alcohol at the age of 17. By the age of 19, I started having serious suicidal thoughts. At the age of 20, I stuck a 12-gauge shotgun under my head and I pulled the trigger, not necessarily because I wanted to die, but because I wanted the pain to stop. And I felt as if I had no safe people in my life where I could be open with. And so the young lady that spoke earlier that mentioned connection. Connection is key to recovery. I have to be connected to God, and even that's not enough. I have to be connected to people and community around me. Vulnerability is contagious. And to me, some people say the most powerful words in the English language are I love you. I truly believe that the most powerful words in the English language are I need help. And so when someone comes to us and they say I need help, I think we all are obligated to do what we can in that moment to get them the help they need right then, right there. And so at Recovery Alive, basically what a small snippet of what Recovery Alive is we are a church resolution that is trying to revolutionize the way people view the church. We want the church to be an urgent care for the community. We focus on the power, the people, and the process. We have to be connected to a power. We have to be connected to people in the community, and we have to be connected to a process, which we call the Christ-centered 12 steps. And so what Recovery Alive has done for me has not just given me a means of not using substances and alcohol. It has given me a means to find freedom, peace, and contentment while not using drugs and alcohol. That's key for me. In the book that John Eklund wrote, the Recovery Alive Handbook, it talks about sobriety is a change in habits, while recovery is a change in heart. And so even when I set those substances down, all I did was set the habits aside, and I was still stuck with me. And so my relationship with Jesus Christ, these 12 steps, and community with other people that knows what it's like to be me, keeps me not just free from substances, but to be content, free, happy, joyous without the use of substances. At Recovery Alive, we have 300 to 500 people that come every single Friday night to little old Selma, North Carolina. And it's amazing. It's amazing to see that many people together. Recovery is not just for addicts and alcoholics. Recovery is for anyone that has a soul wound. And I don't know a person living that doesn't have a soul wound that is broken in some way, shape, or fashion. Our little mission statement is Recovery Alive is a church-based program that connects broken people to the power of people in the process of the Christ-centered 12 steps. We offer Recovery Alive homes. We have 3 homes. I wish Tisha was here to talk about it. We have 1 women's home and 2 men's homes. We got a women's home in Smithfield. Where'd Tanya go? Tanya's a resident of the Growing Grace home in Smithfield. We have a men's home in Smithfield, and we have another men's home in Selma, North Carolina. And what we do is we try to focus and gather people that are coming from treatment, jails, prisons, or any other detoxes or long-term facilities so that we can get them connected to the church, to God, to community, and to the process of the Christ-centered 12 steps. Tisha also is taking a process group into the North Carolina State Women's Prison out there on State Street. As a matter of fact, they're going to graduate Thursday. About 25 women are going to graduate going through a process group through Recovery Alive. Tisha has also brought a Recovery Alive into the Healing Transitions, where they've graduated a few women. And now those women that graduated are going through and leading a process group on their own inside of Healing Transitions. And so also we're looking, me and Tisha went last Saturday, a week ago tonight, to the Raleigh Rescue Mission. And we was able to share our story with a group of guys. And I tell you what, that was so powerful. To walk in there and to let them know that they are not alone, that there are people that has gone through the same things that they have, and we give the hope and healing to those that are hungry for it, right? Because you got to be hungry for it. I know for many years I knew I needed to quit. I needed to quit using drugs and alcohol, but I didn't want to. I didn't truly want to. And so now they're going to allow Recovery Alive to come to the Raleigh Rescue Mission every Saturday at 7 o'clock. We also have the Raleigh Dream Center that's been coming to RA every Friday night at 7 o'clock. You can check us out online. We have a robust online platform every Friday at 7 o'clock. If you go to recoverylive.com, you can check us out. You can watch us worship together. You can watch us testimonies, step talks, and just receive hope and healing that Christ offers for the sick and suffering, right? It's not even about drugs and alcohol. I'm no longer in there because I drink or I use and I don't even think about it. I'm in there because I struggle with anger, control, depression, and self-worth. I still struggle with depression. I had a bout of it about 2 weeks ago. And without my community and my accountability people and my Jesus, I would not be able to get through it. So thank you all for having us. If anybody wants to check out Recovery Live, like I said, go to the website. You can come to Selma, Temple City Baptist Church, every Friday night at 7 o'clock, and you can check us out, 300 to 500 people recovering from substance use disorder and everything else. Thank y'all for having me.
Thank you, Casey. Hey, you want to hang on 1 second, please? So we started something last year. Would the planning committee join me, please? Yeah, Chandler, you have to quit recording. But thank you for doing it. So this event would never happen without this amazing group of people. I'm going to do something this year that they weren't expecting, and I'm doing this off the cuff, so I don't know how many of us will remember. But if you were here the first year, Angie, weren't you here the first year, or was it the second? Second. So second year. Third, fourth. So this is dedication for everyone up here. This is a passion. It's something that we believe in, and we want to honor our individual loved ones, but we appreciate and are so thankful that you allow us to honor all of our loved ones, everyone on this banner. We started something last year that is a little bit different for us, but we started presenting an award last year. And this year, the award is the Community Impact Award. Casey, this award is being given to you and Tisha this year for your tireless work, for everything you do. And we just want you to know how much we love you guys. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Appreciate y'all. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for what you did. Give me a hug.
Give me a hug. Give me a hug. Love y'all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Sharon, you didn't make it. Come up here. I forgot Sharon. Thank you.
She's working hard in the back.
So there is one more thing I want to do. So I want to recognize, again, this amazing committee. This group gets to listen to me. This year it was on Sunday nights for an hour, hour and a half as we go through the planning for this event. It might seem like it's, we should have it all figured out after 8 years, right? But there's a lot that happens and a lot that goes on. So they keep me on track. They pitch in and do so much. Everybody picks up tasks, and it takes a village, and this is an amazing village. I I did want to recognize one special member of the planning committee this year. So last year, our graphic artist retired. And we were praying, trying to figure out what we're going to do for graphics this year and who was going to develop all of our graphics and put them all together. The banner that you see here has got over 450 names on it. And because we've been doing this banner since year 2, it's hard for people to know, well, have I ever submitted my loved one? And we tell them, you know what? If you're not sure, resubmit. So we've got a lot of duplicates. So it takes a lot of work to go through those 450 names, look for duplicates, make sure that nothing's there. We had our invite, our save the date, social media. Cameron, please come up here just a minute so we can give you a special thank you. This young man is a rising, or I guess you are not rising anymore. You are a senior now, right? So school just started. So as a senior, what school? I'm sorry?
Middle Creek.
Middle Creek High School. And for part of his program, he needed an internship. So all of the graphics, everything that he did this year was done through his internship, and we are so appreciative. This is just a little thank you from all of the planning committee to you. Thank you. All right. Thank you. All right, next. Elise, do you want to introduce your team? Would you mind? I forgot to get bios. I'm so sorry, guys. Again, remember the tent in the back, the hope messages, sponsorships, the CCAR Academy coming up in October. We'll have the date for that real soon.
Sure. Well, I'll
kind of sprung that on you.
a little bit of a surprise, but I am just here to introduce and welcome up my 2 colleagues. So I'm Elise Powell. I am the executive director of the North Carolina Harm Reduction Coalition. We do harm reduction sites across the state, including right here in Raleigh. And I'm going to introduce Lofton Wilson, our fabulous harm reduction program manager, who is currently standing behind the sign of names, and Chelsea, who runs our Wake County site. So if you ever come see us in Raleigh, you'll see her wonderful and friendly face. And they are going to do another naloxone training, but focusing on I am naloxone.
Thank you, Elise. Hey, y'all. I'm happy to be here. I'm Lofton. This is Chelsea. So we're going to do the second of y'all's naloxone trainings for the day. So naloxone is the generic name. Narcan is the brand name. It's all the same medication. A lot of people will use Narcan for all of it because Narcan's an easier word to say, but it's all the same medicine. It was invented in 1971 by Dr. Jack Fishman. Thank you, Jack. And it has been the standard treatment for suspected opioid overdose in emergency rooms and ambulances for many decades. And over the past 20 years or so, there's been a movement across the U.S. at the state level to change state law to create better community access to naloxone. And that effort was led by harm reductionists, people with lived experience of drug use and their loved ones. And here in North Carolina, we've had one of those naloxone access laws since 2013. The law says that anybody in the state of North Carolina can administer naloxone to somebody in good faith who we think is overdosing, and we have full civil and criminal protection. So NCHRC has been distributing naloxone directly to folks who use drugs and other people who are at highest risk of experiencing or witnessing an overdose. We've been distributing since 2013. We've distributed over 225,000 naloxone kits in that time, and we've received over 27,000 reported reversals. So people letting us know that they used a naloxone kit that they got from us to reverse an overdose while it was happening, potentially save somebody's life. And those are all the vast majority of all the kits that we distribute and all the reversals that are done with those kits are done by people who are using drugs. And that's because in an overdose situation, a lot of times the folks who are using are the real first responders. They're who can be in that moment, who can spring into action the quickest and help the people that they're with. So that's who we focus on, making sure that everybody who uses drugs has access to naloxone. And we distribute the generic intramuscular version primarily, and there's 2 main reasons for that. One is cost. So out in the community, we have the intramuscular kits and the nasal spray. They both work great. The best Narcan is Narcan that you have in your hands when you need it. The generic intramuscular, we can purchase and distribute about 8 intramuscular kits, which have 2 doses, 2 syringes, the bag, the instructions, the sticker, all of that. We can distribute like 7 or 8 of those for the cost of 1 2-dose nasal kit. So the intramuscular is a lot cheaper and a lot more accessible. And then another reason is because it's a lot easier to dose carefully and appropriately with the intramuscular version, which is not necessarily always the top concern, but can be a good concern for people to have, because basically the more naloxone you have in your system, the more acute your withdrawal symptoms are when you wake up. So making sure that you're dosing therapeutically, giving people enough naloxone so they're awake and breathing and alive, but not so much that they're going to wake up in like fight or flight withdrawal. That's better on them, improves the outcome of the situation, and also makes it easier for the responder. Anyway, okay. So opioid overdose. So opioids are heroin, fentanyl, prescription opioids like Percocet, Dilaudid, morphine, buprenorphine, methadone. These are all opioids. Some of them are made in a lab. They're synthetic. Some of them come from a plant in the ground, the poppy plant. So my brain can't tell the difference between an opioid that was prescribed to me by a doctor and an opioid that I bought in the street. Can't tell the difference between a synthetic or non-synthetic opioid. They all work on our brain receptors the same way. So opioids are fantastic at giving us pain relief. They're very good at giving us feelings of euphoria and safety. The danger is if we have too many opioids in our brain, they basically saturate the same brain receptors that control our breathing. So they trick our brain into thinking that we don't have to breathe. So our breathing slows and then stops. So that is what kills us in an opioid overdose, is not being able to breathe. So some of the times, anytime anybody uses an opioid, there's a possibility that we can overdose, but there are some times that we know really elevate people's risk. One of those is, so you know opioids, your body develops a tolerance to them, and that's why when we're using them, we have to keep using more and more to feel the same way. But our body loses that tolerance really quickly too. So anytime somebody's using opioids regularly, develops a tolerance to them, then stops using long enough to get sick, their body is losing that tolerance. It's losing that memory of how to process the drug. So when somebody goes back to using after they've had that tolerance break, even using something that was half of what I would have used regularly and had no problem, that can cause me to overdose. So that is why so many of our loved ones die of an overdose right after they come home from incarceration, right after they come home from detox. These are times when people were using for a period of time, they stopped using, they lost that tolerance, and then they were at a heightened risk for the overdose. So anytime your tolerance is reduced, that's a huge risk. Anytime we use more than one substance together, substances kind of multiply effects, it's synergistic. So anytime you're using 2 things together, whether it's an upper and a downer, or 2 uppers or 2 downers, they kind of multiply the effects. And lots of people are polydrug users by choice, and many people are using multiple substances even if they don't mean to, because of the way that our drug supply is so contaminated and so unpredictable. And then the third important risk factor to keep in mind is using alone. So I could overdose in a room full of thousands of naloxone vials, and they couldn't save me because I can't give it to myself. When I need it, I'm gone. So making sure that people have overdose response plans, that they have people that they trust that they can use with, that they know resources like the Never Use Alone hotline and places like that that can be sort of last resorts if you don't have people physically around you, are all important. So if I'm with somebody who I'm worried might be having an opioid overdose, some of the things I might notice. So if you look at their skin, particularly around their mouth or their fingernail beds, you might see their skin tone turn bluish or grayish, depending on my skin tone. Their skin might feel cold or clammy. They might be making almost a deep snoring sound, like a gasping, gargling sound called agonal breathing. And these are all just signs that the person is struggling to breathe, that their brain is not getting enough oxygen. And sometimes you might not see any of those visible signs. The person might just look like they're sleeping or they're nodding. But the number one sign is really that they're not able to respond. So if you're shaking somebody, calling their name, and they're not responding to that, like we learned earlier, a good way to test for responsiveness is to do a sternum rub. Rub really hard on the person's sternum bone right here with your knuckles. That's not going to injure the person, but it's a quick, easy, painful way to see if they're able to respond. So back before we had good community access to Narcan, people would try a lot of very creative things to try to get somebody to wake up out of an overdose. Witnessed many of them myself. Things like, hitting a person, kicking them, throwing cold water on them, putting ice down their pants, salt shots, all kind of stuff. So I would never say anything bad to somebody who was doing the best thing that they knew how to do in a really scary situation, trying to save somebody's life. But it is important that we all understand and we all let the people around us understand that the only things that are scientifically proven to help somebody survive an opioid overdose are getting naloxone in time and getting air in time. So anything else that we try is not going to help and might end up making the situation worse. So the good news is we don't have to do all that. Just give them naloxone, give them air, call for help if we can. And then I'm going to turn it over to Chelsea, who's going to describe the actual process.
Hey, okay, so the intramuscular kits that we give out, it has 2 doses, like Lofton explained, and there's like 2 IM syringes and then 2 vials of naloxone. And basically what you do is you take the syringe, you open it, you pop the cap off the vial, and then you just, draw it up, hold it upside down, drop the entire vial, and that's 1 dose. And like Lofton said, if they're unresponsive, you gave them a sternum rub, they're still not responsive, they're not breathing, you have your vial in your syringe, and then you hit them in the thigh, the arm, or their butt, and like this syringe can go through your clothes, so you don't have to like worry about, taking their jeans off or whatever. And then you just wait 2 to 3 minutes, like make sure they're, on their back or in the recovery position on their side. So in case if they do wake up and they do get sick and they like might vomit, you don't want them to choke on their vomit, and you don't want to, anything to happen like that when you leave them alone. So, and then you wait 2 to 3 minutes because we give you 2 doses because sometimes, it does take more than 1 because you don't know what's in the drug supply today. So there could be, different analogs of fentanyl that could be a lot stronger than, just whatever. So that's why we give you 2. And in between that 2 to 3 minutes, we tell people to like give rescue breaths. And I have like a little CPR mask thing on my keys. If you're more comfortable using that to give rescue breaths, because your brain can only go like, a couple minutes without oxygen before, permanent damage or death. So oxygen to the brain is the most important thing during an overdose. So if they're still not breathing on their own after that 2 to 3 minutes while you're giving rescue breaths, then that's when you would hit them with the second dose. And then same, just repeat the process and like call for help if, you feel out of your depth in something. We have like brochures about the Good Samaritan law, and, the Good Samaritan law people are here also. And yeah.
You got it. I just wanted to emphasize one thing Chelsea said about the rescue breathing part. So, like I said, what's happening in opioid overdose is that the impulse to breathe is being artificially suppressed. So the breathing is stopping. So obviously, if your breathing stops for long enough, your heart will stop beating, but the breathing is being affected first. So it's different from like a cardiac arrest where the heart is being affected and that stops the breathing. The breathing is being affected first. So that's why rescue breathing is, in normal CPR, they're saying, don't worry about the rescue breaths, do compression only. That's the best practice in a cardiac situation. But in an opioid overdose, because what's being affected first is the breathing, rescue breaths are still like the gold standard and can still really help that person survive that. And a lot of times when you're responding to an overdose, the person, their hearts might still be beating. A lot of times it's beating really fast because it's just like if you hold your breath for a while, your heart starts beating fast. So even though this is a horrible, scary situation, sometimes just taking like 2 or 3 seconds to kind of take a breath, situate yourself, assess like what is going on, like what are they breathing? Is their breathing very slow or shallow? Like if they're breathing less than 1 breath every 5 seconds, or they're not breathing at all, that tells you need to do the rescue breaths. Feel for a pulse. If you can feel for a pulse, don't worry about compressions, just focus on the rescue breaths. So in these like really scary situations, your mind is racing, there's a lot going on, but kind of slowing down a little bit and kind of assessing what's actually happening can really help you respond in the most effective way and use the time that you have most effectively. Any questions? Thank you all. Appreciate all of y'all for everything you do in your communities.
Thank you, guys. Love what you do. So we wanted to take a minute and read to you the Governor of North Carolina's proclamation for today, the Overdose Awareness Day 2024. There's some hard stats here, but that's the reality of the situation that we're in. And I always am amazed each year. I put the proclamation over the one from the year before, and I'm always amazed at what I read. Whereas from 2000 to 2022, 37,000 North Carolinians were among the more than 1 million Americans who died from drug overdose, according to updated Centers for Disease Control and Prevention estimates. The combined medical, social, and personal cost of drug overdose deaths in North Carolina alone totaled over $49 billion in 2022. And whereas the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic exacerbated this crisis, with overdose deaths increasing 85% since 2019, and 4,339 North Carolinians losing their lives to overdose in 2022, the highest recorded number in a single year. And whereas the rates of overdose are increasing fastest among Hispanic and Black African American North Carolinians, with a 188% and 171% increase in their overdose death rates from 2019 to 2022 respectively, while American, Indian, Indigenous communities have the highest overdose rate at 109.7 deaths per 100,000 residents in 2022. And whereas since 2020, the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services has distributed over 800,000 doses of naloxone, the life-saving overdose reversal medication. And whereas more than 34,000 individuals receive treatment for opioid use disorder from one of the 85 opioid treatment programs in North Carolina. Learn more about treatment programs, syringe services programs, and other evidence-based strategies to prevent overdose deaths in North Carolina at www.morepowerfulnc.org. And whereas the historic opioid settlement provides a critical opportunity for communities across North Carolina to invest in evidence-based overdose prevention strategies to curb this heartbreaking trend. And whereas Overdose Awareness Day is a day to remember those in our great state and across the country whose lives have been lost to overdose, to honor family and community grief, to acknowledge and address stigma related to substance use and substance use disorders across the continuum, and to renew our commitment to ending the overdose crisis. Now, therefore, I, Roy Cooper, Governor of the State of North Carolina, do hereby proclaim August 31st, 2024 as Overdose Awareness Day in North Carolina and commend its observance to all citizens. Thank you for letting me read.
Robert Pont, Misty Potter, Preston Powell, Robert Pradish, Lee Pridgeon, Angela Privet, Joshua Proctor, Ryan Tack, Austin Quinn, Michael Ragone, Stacy Ramsey, Kirby Randolph, Marvin Ratliff, Patrick Rayner, Timothy Wade Rayner, Grant Reese, Courtney Reitler, Gavin Remele, Amanda Rice, Kaylin Rich, Jesse Rickman, Mariah Ricks, Cody Robbins, Jerry Roberts, Domingo Rodriguez Q, Dan Rohair, Joshua Ross, Caitlin Rouse, Seth Rudd, Danielle Ruggiero, James Russell, Samantha Russell. Orion Saw, Jordan Seblon, Scott Saxon, Melissa Sandstrom, Jason Wes Sapp, Hope Saunders, Ariana Savoy, Stephen Schneck, William Scott, Amber Scott, Alex Scurfield, Dylan Shannon, Justin Sharp, Caleb Shelton, Barbara Simek, Joey Symes, Justin Symes, Press Simmons, Michael Simpson, Jacob Sink, Alex Slaney, James Smith, Timmy Smith, Pat Smith, Joshua Smith, Hunter Smith, Sam Sporn, Thomas Spradley, Josh Springs, Ryan Sprinkle, Neil St. Amar, Shelby Lynn Stanley, Andrew Stansel, Brandon Steele, David Steen, John Steen, Parker Stevenson, Harvey Stevenson, William Stevenson, Toria Stevens, Robert Stohan, Dylan Stohan, and my daughter Dakota Strickland. Jason Stutz, Dustin Stiles, Clay Suggs, Lara Summers, Joseph Sutton, Seth Snook Swan, Derby Sykes, Justin Tarleton, Lisa Tarr, Ashley Taylor, Blaine Taylor, Jeffrey Terras, my daughter, Katie Thomas, Allison Thomas, Tristan Thompson, Lacey Thorne, Stephen Thornton, Joshua Threadgill, Kevin Tice, Sean Tierney, Brandon Tishner, Bryce Tajan, Aiden Toshius, Matthew Trapnell, Chad Trent, Trent Triplett, Ginger Tripp, Daniel Turner, CJ Unterstein, Anthony Valerio, Melanie Van Duzen, Brittany Vandelhoovel, Joshua Venable, Frankie Vitagliano, Yasmin Vitalis, Tyler Wade, Wesley Waldrop, Joshua Walker, Tom Ward, Jonathan Washburn, Amber Waters, Jarrell Watson, Renee Weathersby, Mark Workman II, Patrick Wesley Anderson, Carrie West, Ashley Ashley Wabi, Daniel Whitaker, Bradley White, Christopher White, Lauren Whitley, Zoera Whittington, Andy Weicker,
Spencer Wilhelm, Timothy Willett, Tyler Williams, Kirby Williams, Jeremy Wilson, Joshua Wilson, Brianna Wilson, Austin Wingler, Christian Wyson, Travis Witt, Brent Woodleaf, Tyler Woody, Christopher Worley, Nathan Wright, Sam Zaleski, Caleb Zimmerman, and Justin Zinzer.
All right, so I'm going to ask everyone. I know everybody wants to be packed up and get everything together to head out. I would ask, if you don't mind, if we can pause on packing and everything else, because we're actually going to start into our candlelight vigil now. As I mentioned before, we're doing things a little bit different this year. What we'll do, just kind of logistically, is so Stephanie Lane will be coming up. John, sorry I got you out of order. Stephanie Lane will be coming up. I'm going to introduce her here in just a minute. She's going to go through kind of a grief share moment with everyone, and I hope that's meaningful and everybody gets something out of it. I know that's different than what we've done in the past. Then what we'll do after Pastor John's message, Chandler, raise your hand so everybody sees you. Turn around so they can see your backpack. Nope, you'll go the other way. There you go. So Chandler will be leading the walk. So what you'll want to do is after Pastor Eklund's message, you'll want to watch for Chandler back behind the purple tent there and just follow him. He will lead you. We're going to go up. We will have security to hold traffic for us, I think. Yep, they're already on their way up there. So we will have security to hold traffic for us. We'll cross, walk down Edenton Street, hang a right, go to the next corner, hang a right, and then at the next stairway, you're going to come up and curve around the Capitol building, and we'll gather there. And Chandler knows where that is, so he'll lead you. All right. So, and then at the end we'll have a moment of silence. We will have a prayer and a poem, not necessarily in that order. And then at the end of that, you're free to stand there, hug each other, meet with each other, take whatever time you need, and then you can just depart at your own leisure. The Capitol building tonight, again this year, is supposed to be lit in purple. Excuse me, not the Capitol building, the governor's mansion, the executive mansion, which if you're not sure where that is, it's at the second light to the left. That is a one-way street the other way, though, so you have to go around it. But they're supposed to light that in purple again. So thank you all very much again. I now want to introduce Stephanie. Stephanie was a member of our planning committee this year. She is also a licensed clinical social worker and currently works in a federal qualified health center providing mental health support. She's a wife, a mother, and Tristan's sister. Tristan passed of an overdose on August the 4th, 2016. IOAD is such an important day as a way to remember her sister. All those we have lost, but also to be a part of something bigger in her memory, to help raise awareness of addiction and end stigma of addiction. Stephanie has been on the planning committee for 2 years and looks forward to speaking to you. Stephanie?
Thank you so much for hanging with us. I know it's been a really long day, so thank you for letting me have the opportunity to speak with you today and share with you. So my sister, Tristan, was born June 9th, 1998, and I was 5 years old. I vividly remember my big sister Button holding it and announcing to everyone that would listen that I was going to have a little sister. As we grew up, Tristan and I put on shows for our grandparents in the living room. We had our little sister Misty, who we talked into lots of things. And of course we fought like siblings do. But I always knew Tristan would have my back. After high school, I went away to college. I was always available by phone, but Tristan never called. My mom would call me and update me on her struggles with addiction, which began with alcohol and partying and continued to escalate. My parents tried their best with outpatient services that were available, but faced many barriers due to her age. She was 17, and what they call a gray area, and access to services as well. Tristan's journals have provided us some comfort, but also revealed more of an understanding of her inner struggles In one entry I want to share with you, she writes, "Your poison that once ran rampant through my veins will now haunt me for the rest of my life. I always told myself, oh, I'll never try that. I'm smarter than that until I tried it. With each drug I tried, it only made doing another one easier. Addiction takes a hold of you, and before you even realize it, you've lost everything. You've lost your complete identity, and your will to live is gone. Everything feels pointless. Then after you take away the drugs, you're left to face reality. My body physically hurts. I feel sick to my stomach all the time and could literally break down and cry at the slightest thing. If you are here and you're struggling with addiction today, please ask for help. There are tons of people in this area that would love to help you. For those of us that have lost a loved one, I know that life will never be the same. And it's just not something that we get over. We learn to live with a new normal. Tristan was so much more than her addiction. She had a big heart. She loved deeply and cared for animals, people, and was intelligent. Even in her darkest days, she maintained her empathy and compassion. It's hard to believe it's been 8 long years since we've seen her smile or heard her laugh. One thing I've come to understand, working with people struggling with addiction and those grieving a loss of someone, these people are so intelligent, they're so smart, and they're so passionate, and they love deeply. The stigma of addiction often keeps those both struggling and their families in hiding. Shame and secrets lead to denial, which impedes recovery. I often think back on moments in her story and my story that could have been different. During some of Tristan's active addiction, I was in school for social work. Despite learning about addiction in school, I was in denial and did not think overdose for my sister was even remotely a possibility. Another instance I can think of was writing her obituary. And I'm sorry, y'all, this bug is like out to get me. So writing her obituary, I did not write how she passed, and I know that that was due to stigma. I should have said she lost her battle with addiction. I should have wrote about the statistics and the realities of addiction. Speaking of those, I know we've hit a major milestone this year, and it's something to celebrate that for the first time ever, we saw a decrease in overdose deaths, but we must stay vigilant in our efforts against this. And remember, the overall trend was still upward with significant increases every year before. We remember that even with this decrease, we still lose 194 people a day. So that's 194 new grieving families every day, enduring this profound pain that we all know too well in this space. I'm honored to share Tristan's story with you all and advocate for change. Tristan's life, death, and story all have a purpose, and one of them led me to being here to share with you today this message of hope. Our theme today, as you guys may have picked up on, was hope. In the context of grieving, hope is a belief that healing is possible, even if it's not today for you. It's about recognizing our present pain while holding on to the possibility of a better tomorrow. Hope connects our present to our future and helps us navigate through grief. I want to start by reflecting on why hope is important. So hope is important for many reasons. Our mental health, hope can improve mental health, self-esteem, daily functioning. Our physical health, it can help people with chronic illness. Resilience, hope can help people feel more resilient in the face of difficulty. It can also help people feel less helpless and dependent of others. Post-traumatic stress disorder, so hope can be a protective factor against PTSD. Motivation, hope can be a powerful source of motivation and inspiration. It can help people persevere even when facing great challenges. Well-being, hope can be beneficial to a person's overall well-being. Socialization, hope can help us have healthy energy levels and socialization. Immune system functioning, hope can improve our immune system functioning. So there's lots of benefits of hope. Hope is definitely different than wishful thinking, which is more of an escape of reality. Hope acknowledges that real and hard obstacles are on the path to reaching your goals and working against those. So the next thing I wanted to do is explore how do we bring more hope into our lives, or how do we have hope when we're feeling really hopeless. So for a lot of people in this space, it might be helpful to have linking objects. Right. These are physical things that help connect us to a loved one who has died. These things are deeply personal and sometimes hard to share with others. So for me, I have a cross that Tristan had. I have a playlist that helps me feel connected. Common examples of these are vehicles, stuffed animals, clothing, playlists. So these things really allow us to remember our loved one and acknowledge our new realities and kind of move through our grief, encouraging us to feel how we're feeling. Hearing stories from other people is another way. So similar to your experiences and everyone here in this room, that's why events like today are so powerful. Sharing those stories and hearing those, participating in support groups, other people having a safe place to share, thinking of positive qualities. We all have them. This can be helpful to improve our self-esteem and mood. Having good coping skills. So this one is always easier said than done, right? Anything can be a coping skill. Doesn't mean it's a good one. And so we did actually ask you guys to make it a little more interactive on Facebook. What are some of the coping skills that have helped you to get through this major loss? And so some of you replied and shared adopting a highway, being with family on birthdays and anniversaries, doing something fun or special on those hard days, sharing stories about your loved one, engaging in activities in church, serving your community, scheduling days off that are hard from work, crying when needed, getting out in the fresh air, taking deep breaths, participating in the recovery community, and then being able to acknowledge that happiness and sadness can exist together in the same room. Oh, sorry. And then the other thing I wanted to highlight is when we're in a deep grief, it's hard sometimes to use coping skills. And sometimes it's important just to focus on the basics. Am I eating? Am I sleeping? Am I drinking water? Am I getting a little bit of exercise? Connecting to nature, relaxation techniques, deep breathing was mentioned, mindfulness, expressing our emotions in some way, journaling. Sometimes just putting pen to paper and letting it flow can be really helpful. This can also be done sometimes through forms of art, coloring, drawing, painting, whatever emotional creative release for you. And then moving your body. So emotional pain gets stored in our body, and finding movement that feels comfortable for you. That might be taking a walk, exercising, dancing, being silly, playing with the kids, whatever that looks like. Crying is a form of release as well. Just knowing if you're crying all the time, and it's affecting you being able to do things you need to do, it might be time to reach out to your doctor or mental health provider. So the next way to increase hope in our life is trying to reframe negative things in our life, seeing them more as obstacles or challenges, not failures. Along the same lines, looking for good things to happen around you, seeing things that are positive and like the kids playing in the back, just paying attention to those things can help us feel a sense of hope when we're feeling isolated or lonely. Using positive affirmations or developing a mantra to repeat with intention of having a good day. These likely change throughout your grief journey, and that's okay. They should. In the beginning, it may just be, I'm going to take a shower today. I'm going to go where I need to go. I'm going to show up. But others might be, I'm allowing myself to fully feel this. Healing takes time. My grief matters. I'll never be the same person again, and that's okay. Also want to encourage people to lean into your supports. Find your people. People that are helpful. They don't take away from your grief. They honor your pain and let you borrow hope from them when you need to. These people could be family, friends, therapists, support groups, religious communities, whatever that looks like for you. And last, giving yourself some grace. Sometimes in grief, hopeful isn't what you want to feel, and that's okay. Sometimes it's okay to not be okay. And there are so many emotions that come when we feel grief. Being honest with yourself about what you need, pacing yourself is the best thing that you can do. There is no right way to grieve. I do want to end by just recognizing some of the reasons that you all have hope. I think it's important. So I'm going to read some of these for you. For my children, we love you always, William. Sorry. For my wife, for Mitch, I love you. I hope you're in peace. We never know how high we are until we are called to rise. And then if we are true to plan, our statures touch the skies. Emily Dickinson. Oh, you're forever loved, Rufus. Together we can recover. It gets me to tomorrow, because after months of worry and fear as a mother of an addict, she became sober and now made it her mission to help others. After finding my fiance passed out from overdose, I have hope to keep his legacy alive. I'm now 2 years clean, one day at a time. Katie, your sister, has been in recovery for 9 years to protect others, to protect our loved ones and everyone. It may take many times for many to find their way. I know one day I will be with them again. My hope for us all today is that we grieve together, we remember our loved ones, but tomorrow we rise with renewed hope. Let's continue to raise awareness about addiction and work to eliminate the stigma along with it. I encourage you all to share your loved one's story. It truly matters. Oh, and I missed some. I'm sorry. That's what you handed me. We have resources to invest in making a difference. The strength, the parents here inspired me to have hope. Those are good.
Okay. At this time, I just want to introduce John Eklund again. He did open us up in prayer, and we've had the pleasure of having him before prior years, and we just love what they're doing over in Selma at Recovery Alive, and it's spreading nationally, and it's just a great thing. So John is a licensed clinical social worker and ordained minister. He has been serving individuals and families as a social worker, counselor, and pastor for nearly 2 decades. John currently works as a therapist and serves as the director for Recovery Alive, a Christ-centered 12-step program he founded in 2020.
Well, I'm going to be really fast, which you have reason to doubt since I'm a pastor, but we've been here a while. I just want to share scripture. 2 Corinthians 1 says, "Praise to the God and the Father of our Lord Jesus, the Father of compassion and the God of all comfort, who comforts us in all our troubles." Here it comes. So that. Can you say so that? So that. So that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves receive from God. For just as we share abundantly in the sufferings of Christ, so also our comfort abounds through Christ. The bottom line of that scripture is, if you've received comfort today, if you've received hope today, let that comfort and that hope overflow to other folks. That's the hope that comes out of these events. And I'm like, I don't know if you're feeling this the same way. I'm feeling like it's hot. And I'm also feeling like, boy, I wish there's a whole lot more people out here. Is that how you feel? If we're honest, don't you just wish there's more people out here? You kind of wonder and scratch your head. Don't people know that over 100,000 people died last year of overdose? Don't people know that? Don't you want to scream it up and down the streets? Done half a dozen funerals. Don't people know what's going on? It's so frustrating. But here's what Matthew 5 says. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on a stand. And it gives light to everybody in the house. In the same way, let your light shine among men. Let your light shine among men. I don't care if it's one of us, or two of us, or 10 of us. Don't stop shining your light, no matter what you're doing. Do you know why I do what I do? It's because I was an addict, and God saved me. And so I want to give that comfort that God gave to me to somebody else. I want to keep people alive until they want to live with Narcan. I want to see people find hope, and I want that hope that comes from what I received to overflow with others. And if you don't know that hope, come and see me, and I'm going to give it to you. Talk to any of these folks, man, in our ministry. We want to give you that hope so you can know that hope, so you can overflow with that hope. But if you're here tonight and you're struggling, I'll pray with you. But tonight, let's let our light shine so that people can see that there is hope, that these names that are up here, they didn't die in vain, that someone else can hold on to hope so they can have a life and have life abundantly. So my prayer is, and I'm going to close with this, my prayer is you will not turn this light off after the walk. You'll keep it on, and you'll keep it on in here. Amen? Are we ready to do this thing? Come on, let's do this.
Chandler's in the back. Follow him.